I'm Janice Hossteiger. After 3 decades in the marketing business and many years of being an entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about marketing. Join me as we talk about marketing, small business, and life in between. Welcome to My Weekly Marketing. Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Weekly Marketing. I'm Janice Hossteiger, and as always, I'm so glad that you're here. Today I have a special guest who I can pretty much guarantee can teach you some things about email marketing. Scott Hartley is a serial entrepreneur and founder of Master Plan for Success. He understands the challenges small business owners face. He also knows what it's like to wear all the hats in the business, like many of us. He built his first company into a multi-six-figure business from scratch. In 2017, Scott decided to help other small business owners create a shortcut to their success by helping them with marketing strategy, systems, and automations, including email marketing. I love that he brings a technical perspective to what works and what doesn't work, since he understands the back-end aspects of email delivery. I learned some awesome things in this interview, and I'm pretty sure you'll walk away with some things you can use too. Here's my interview with Scott. Well, hey, Scott, thanks for joining me today. I'm thrilled that you are here. Scott Hartley is the CEO of Master Plan for Success, and he's going to talk to us today about email marketing. And I am so excited about this subject because it is so much the bread and butter of what I do personally and a lot of small business owners. So now tell me first, how did you get into email marketing? You probably didn't just get out of school and say, I'm going to go into email marketing. You know, it's like, how did you get here? What's your story?
Yeah. So really back in 2013, so I had started my first company, which was a small IT company in a small community. I had kind of been studying marketing, figuring like, how can I grow my local IT business? And so one of the people that I was working with, they recommended that you start doing some email marketing using an automated marketing, platform. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. So, I signed up and was just kind of like learning how to use that platform and, how do you figure out how to send emails? What do you send to people? All that kind of thing. And so I did my first campaign, what we would call an email marketing campaign, and I broke all the rules of direct response marketing. It should have like a series of at least 3 communications and all that type of stuff. And I sent out one email to my list, through that marketing software. And it was for our PC tune-up service. And lo and behold, I don't remember how many emails that I'd sent out, but we had a really good response of clients who were interested in the PC tune-up special that we were offering. And I was like, wow, like if I can just do this with one email and get this type of response, like if I do everything correctly, can you imagine what the results of that, that might be? So that really fueled my fire. And so I started leveraging email marketing along with other forms of marketing in the IT business. Well, in 2017, 2018, I kind of stepped away from my IT company, just getting burnt out on technology. And so I started helping small business owners with marketing automation and marketing strategy. And of course, for a lot of those people, it involved email marketing. And so as I've been working with those business owners, for over 5 years now, you learn a lot of things that people don't tell you when you first start doing email marketing, things that really everybody needs to know before you send your first marketing email. And so that's really where I've kind of got my grassroots into the whole email marketing world and then helping small business owners with that.
Oh, I love that. And that is so true. I think we just don't know what we don't know. And it's really, there's a lot of information that's just not really readily available. We think that once we get our MailChimp account or whatever it is, that we can just go ahead and send out emails, which it in itself, a lot of people don't even know to do that. I still get emails that are sent through Google and that sort of thing that violate the Can-Spam Act. And, so, I mean, there's a lot of things that I think people just don't really understand. So I think this is great. You do have a free book, which I'm sure you're going to talk about later, but it's a free download, and I found it really, really informative. It's called Hit the Inbox. And it's just, there's just a lot of good information in there about, things that we don't necessarily think about as marketers or small business owners.
Yeah.
So what is one big mistake that you see? And I'm sure there's a few, but what's one
Yeah.
big mistake that you see small business owners making with their email marketing?
Yeah. So obviously there are a lot of those, which I do cover, all of those pretty well in the book. One of the biggest mistakes that I see is that when we send an email, and I was guilty of this when I started doing email marketing, you send that same email to everybody on your list. It's called an email blast, right?
Mhm.
We're just blasting everybody with that one message that we
Yes.
want to get out there. And that actually works against you. Um, you get much better results when you take the time to segment your list. You break it down and you send email communications based upon what people are interested in. So as a simple analogy, for example, let's say that you are a pet store, okay? And you've got products for dogs and you've got products for cats. There are going to be some of your clients that they only have dogs as pets. They don't like cats at all. They love the dogs. If you blast your entire list and you're promoting something about cats, you're going to turn off all of those dog owners. And they're going to be like, oh, I don't even need to pay attention to this email because it doesn't pertain to anything with me. And that's training your audience in a bad way, right? But if you segment your list, you know that these 50 people love dogs and these 50 people love cats, and you send a message out that pertains only to those dog owners, I can almost guarantee you every single one of them is going to open it, read it, and probably take action on what you're communicating because they love man's best friend. And so segmentation is so important.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because that is absolutely true. And personalization in email, including segmentation, so they're getting the right message,
Yep.
and just that you are addressing their problems specifically. I mean, that's growing. I mean, it's always been important, but I think that's even becoming more and more important as we see technology increase. And we've all got so many emails in our inbox, and
Yeah.
we just want to sort through it and get to the stuff that's important to us. And
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right. I'm so glad that you brought that up. You touch on a very controversial topic among email marketers, and that's the design of your emails. You're
Mm-hmm.
adamant that people should ditch the email newsletter. Why is
Yeah.
that? A lot of us have newsletters, and just curious how you find that.
Yeah, this one is controversial, and I usually have some really lengthy discussions with people when we talk about this. And there's really a couple of primary reasons why I say to get rid of the email newsletter. Now, by email newsletter, what I'm describing is what you would typically see that is a beautifully designed email, lots of images, lots of color, and it also contains a lot of links and maybe a lot of articles or a lot of teaser paragraphs to 4, 5, 6, 7 or more things that people can read. And there's two reasons why I say ditch the email newsletter. Number one is remember that the majority of emails are read on mobile devices, the small screen. So nobody wants to be sitting here scrolling for 20 minutes to consume your content. So if your newsletter is lengthy, most people say, oh, I don't have time for that right now. And then, of course, later never comes. And so they never come back to it and they don't read it. Secondly, is the design of the email. Studies have shown that mostly plain text emails, text only emails, maybe with one or two small images kind of sprinkled in, those actually get better open rates and better action rates on the emails than the ones that are beautifully designed. Beautifully designed emails, they scream, hey, this is a marketing email. So that also increases the chances of those emails going to junk or spam. So if you keep it plain and simple, and then you lead people over to your website, spice that website up, use all the images and all the colors and all the videos and everything that you want, because that's what people expect on a website. But in an email, you want to keep it really plain and simple. And then the third primary reason is, let's say that you have a newsletter and you've got 4 different blog posts that you would like people to read. You're giving them a lot of options. And when people typically leave an email, so they click that first link and go to your website, very seldom do they come back to your email. And so those second, third, and fourth articles, they're not going to go check those out. That's where if you get them to your website, over on the sidebar, you can kind of create, hey, check this out, go read this article, other teasers on the website. And then kind of a bonus of that, and one of the arguments that I always get, because I tell people, you need to email your list at least once a week. Yes. The objection that I get to that is, but I don't know what I would write. I send something to my list once a month. How am I going to come up with content with 4 emails a month? Well, guess what? If you've got 4 articles that you're putting in that one newsletter, split that up, 1 article a week. Now you have your weekly content that you can send out to your list.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. I know over the years, I've tried the newsletter concept, and I find that people click on maybe the top 1 or 2 links that are in there. Mm-hmm. But I tend to have a 1 call to action per page, per email kind of rule. Maybe 2, if necessary, but, you just, your email has 1 job, and that's to send it to your website, hopefully, or to a sales page or whatever it is that you're promoting.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And you're right. I do have a lot of clients, and I have some emails that I love. I look forward to those emails, and they are email newsletters, but you're absolutely right. I haven't thought about that before, but I do flag them for later. But you're right. So it's like, over the weekend or something, if I get time, I'll look at them, but they're a lot more labor intensive, even though it's great content. I just can't take it all in the middle of a workday. I can't, because I know it's going to be good stuff, but
exactly. Yeah. And even though you may have the best of intentions to go back to it over the weekend, if you get busy or if you're just tired and you want to just veg out over the weekend, you may not get back around to it. And then it starts to accumulate, and then you're like, never mind. It's great stuff, but I'll catch it the next time around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So over the years, I can't tell you how many people have asked me, small business owners have asked me, can I just buy a list? So I, of course, tell them it's not a good idea. Can you go into that a little bit and tell them more about the perils of buying an email list?
Yeah. So you can buy marketing lists that contain physical addresses and phone numbers, and you can send out direct mail to anybody that you want to. There's no problem and no rules against doing that. But when it comes to buying an email list, that's a big, big no-no. All right. You mentioned earlier, there's the Canned Spam Act. Every country, Canada, the UK, every country in the world practically has something related to the Canned Spam Act in the United States, which means that you cannot send unsolicited email to people who haven't requested to hear from you. And so if you're buying a list and you're intending to email those people, you're really running an extremely high risk of not even being able to email at all in the future. The mailbox providers, Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and others, they have gotten really, really smart about, determining, is this person legitimately emailing people? And if you get a large number of spam complaints, so you buy this list, you blast out to everybody on that list, that message, and a good number of them mark you as spam, your reputation takes a nosedive. And it is very, very difficult and very time intensive to actually recover from that. And there are some cases where you can't recover from that. I've seen instances where Microsoft and Google have said, you know what, you've gone too far. We're not going to accept any email messages from you whatsoever.
And that's tied to their IP address, right? So
it's tied to their domain and their IP address. So
okay.
They look at all kinds of data points and they connect the dots really well. And so some people try to game the system. They'll get, you may have your primary domain. So like mine is masterplanforsuccess.com. Some people might try to, do a shortened version of that. So mp4s.com. Well, Microsoft, Google, and Yahoo, they're smart enough. There's enough data that they can know, oh, Scott's got both of these domains and he's trying to spam a bunch of people using the one that's not his primary domain. They're going to be like, no. We see the game you're playing. And then they end up penalizing you on both of those.
Yeah, no, I've never encountered anyone that's been blacklisted, but I have heard about it. And it's not something any business wants to be,
exactly.
And it's not a position anybody wants to be in for sure. So, I'm glad you addressed that. So in your book, you talk about, or you write about rather, that there's an action that single-handedly can transform your email marketing. I'm curious, what is that?
Yeah, the one thing that makes the biggest difference to get more of your emails going into the inbox is managing and monitoring the engagement of your recipients. Getting people to engage with your emails. And what that means is that not only are they opening them, because opens is not a great metric to monitor, but opens does, indicate engagement. Getting people to click on links in your emails, that's important. Are they replying to your emails? And even little actions like, are they keeping your emails and dragging them to a folder where they can store them? Those are all positive indicators that says, oh, this person wants to receive these emails. They get value out of them. So we want to make sure that they see them. If you're managing and monitoring your engagement, that's going to drastically improve your business in the eyes of the mailbox providers. And so the more people on your list that you can get to open, reply, click, keep and move your emails, that's going to say, hey, these people are getting some good material. They want to get it. So let's put it in the inbox. Let's not put it somewhere else. And of course, that's a thing that you have to manage and monitor over time. What that means is, how many people are engaging with your emails every week, every month? Who's not opened or clicked on an email in more than 90 days? Who's never opened an email that you sent? Looking at all of those numbers and then determining what to do with those individuals, that's very important. But that's the number one hands down action that can totally transform your email marketing.
And that is so hard for small businesses who are just trying to grow a list. I mean, oftentimes people, especially for free downloads, they'll put a separate email account that they don't monitor down as their email address. And but yeah, it really, what you're saying is that it really is going to pay off, even if you have to delete a big chunk of your list and get that number down. I think it's kind of a vanity metric too. It's like and obviously we want to have as many people on our email list and engaged with our email list as possible. But if they're just sort of dead weight and hurting you in the long run, you're better off cleaning out your email list. Get rid of some of them is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have seen it's proven itself time and time and time again that the smaller, more engaged lists are way more profitable than the lists of thousands of people on them, of which the majority never open an email. Right. So the higher your engagement, the more profit that you're going to get from your clients and prospects.
So do the email services keep track of whether or not you personally are engaging with an email, and would they be more likely, for instance, to send it to a spam folder or a promotions tab? if it's Gmail, or is it more of a general kind of thing based on your particular business?
Yeah. So there's really kind of three levels of engagement. All right. So if I'm marketing, if you're on my marketing list, and I send you a marketing email, Google or Microsoft, Yahoo, they're going to look at, whichever provider that you're using, they're going to look at what are you doing as an individual with the emails that you get from me. If you're not opening them, you're just immediately dumping them into trash, then my emails are going to start going into your junk or spam folder because you basically told Google, for example, I don't want to see these emails. Now, let's assume that you're on Google, Gmail, and I've got a list of 100 people. Not only is Google looking at you, but they're also looking at all 100 people. How is the majority of those 100 people interacting or engaging with my emails that I'm sending? If I have 62 of those 100 people that are opening, clicking, replying, doing all this positive stuff, Google's going to say, okay, this is pretty good content. Let's start moving this into the primary inbox. Let's move this to the inbox here. But if on the converse side, 62 out of the 100 aren't doing anything with my emails, but dumping them in the trash, then all 100 contacts on Gmail have a higher likelihood of going straight into junk or spam. So they look at the individual, what are you personally doing with the email, and then aggregate what is happening with everybody that's you're emailing on that particular platform.
Gotcha. So, boy, that's complex.
It is. I mean, I tell you what, the mailbox providers, they have this down to an art and a science. They are looking at so many different things that you can't game the system. And of course, it's their rules that we have to abide by. And so we have to do our best, to try to follow those.
And for good reason, because if a provider let in all this spam, then we wouldn't want to use them anymore. So I guess it's in their best interest too to do that. Tell me a little bit about the promotions tab on Gmail. You talk in your book about how people kind of overreacted with that. And I was guilty of that too. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to tell people to drag it to their main inbox. I mean, that was a few years ago. I think people have learned a little bit about it now, but tell me more about that.
Yeah, it becomes a real controversial point. A lot of people, start to panic. It's like, oh, I'm sending out emails from, MailChimp, Keep, Active Campaign, or whatever. It's like, oh, but they're going into the promotions tab or they're going in the updates tab. I want them to go into the inbox. Well, here's the thing. The promotions and the updates tab is part of the inbox. All right. So for all of those Gmail users who don't have the tabs turned on, which is a large number of Gmail users, those emails go straight into the inbox. If they do have the tabs turned on, like I do, then they are going to go to the promotions tab. But here's the thing. A lot of people check their promotions tab on a daily basis because they expect those emails to go there, but they still want to get them. They still want to read them. So the numbers really are very negligible as to how that might affect sales, how that might affect opens and engagement if it goes to the promotions tab. The one thing that's really important on all of your thank you pages, whether somebody opts in for a free resource or they, buy something from you and you're going to send them an email, you want to give them explicit instructions on that thank you page. We're going to send you an email. Be sure to check your junk, spam, and promotions folders or tabs for our email. That way, people can look and they know exactly where to go in case it doesn't show up in their primary inbox. But yeah, promotions tab, it's not anything to worry about. And I will tell you this, I touch upon this in the book as well. There are a couple of email marketing gurus, and I use that term lightly, that encourage you to game the system. They want you to stuff your email with irrelevant stuff in the hopes that it's going to keep it out of the promotions tab and it'll put it into the primary tab. Google especially is onto that game, and they are punishing and penalizing people for doing that. So what some people will do is that they'll take an entire chapter of a book and put it into a hidden section on an email in light text and all that type of stuff, like 2-point type. Like Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo, they don't play that game. So if you have somebody that recommends doing something like that so that your emails don't land in the promotions tab, just know that that's going to damage your reputation.
Oh yeah, they used to do that early on in the web design world too. Just sort of put
Yep.
white text on a white background, thinking
Uh-huh.
that they're gonna the search engines will pick up on that and rank their site higher. And instead, it just worked against them. And it's interesting because I just saw someone recommending to do that on Instagram,
Uh-huh.
and I would guess that if they're not onto it already, they're going to be onto it very soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that people did that on email too. If people want to hear from you, and if you know they want to hear from you, then there's no reason to play games like that to, like
Yeah.
you said, game the system, because that kind of defeats the point.
Right.
I mean, if Gmail and Yahoo and all the big email providers out there are going to put your email to the give your email to the people that want to see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, it boils down to, we're all in business. We're all ethical, moral people. We want to do good in the world and we want to help others.
Yeah.
And if we're truly operating from that place in our life and in our business, then the messages that we send out are going to resonate with the people who want that type of message. And those are the people that are going to do business with us and stay engaged with us all along. And that's exactly what we want. We don't have to play games.
Oh yeah, that is so true. And I think we all want to be ethical marketers. I don't think any of us really want to, well,
Right.
hopefully no, don't want to be the type of marketer that is pushy and nobody wants to hear from someone they're not opted in to hear from. So what do you think about email marketing in general? Do you think it's still alive and well? Do you think it's people are just getting too much of it? Or what are your thoughts on the future of email marketing?
Yeah, so great question. So a lot, some people will say, email marketing's dead. There's no way that you can make money with email marketing. We're just inundated with emails. We're flooded. It's a full-time job just to keep your inbox down to like 5 messages, right? And so, like, how are you going to be able to stand out? But really, the fact of the matter is, email marketing is the number one way to generate revenue for most small businesses.
Right.
It's just a matter of doing it the right way, which I lay out, in my book, Hit the Inbox. That doesn't mean that you can't or you shouldn't use other forms of marketing. In my own business, I do direct mail. I do some social media. There's a lot of other ways that we should be marketing to people. And then email is a supplement, for that. It kind of builds the relationship and encourages and drives people towards the sale, especially if, they're coming in as a prospect. So email marketing is definitely not dead, but you have to be smart about the way that you're doing it, because otherwise you're just becoming part of the noise that we have in our inboxes, and you want to be able to stand out when you're showing up in people's inboxes.
That's so true. Yeah, I think so. I have a process which I call the trail to the sale, which is based on the customer's journey. And
Mm-hmm.
email falls into the consideration stage. It's not in the awareness stage where you
Yeah,
find social media or maybe direct mail or some other advertising. It
right.
is in that secondary step, because people at that point are opting in. They do want to learn more about your product or your service or whatever it is you're offering. Um, that's not it's not the awareness part of it. And I think a lot of people who are buying the list and are trying to game the system are trying to get awareness, and it's just not the
Mm-hmm.
platform to do that with. What kind of tips do you have for listeners who are just starting out with email marketing? Maybe they just have, they don't really know where to start.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? How they get going in it? I know it's kind of a big
That's all
question.
of us.
Yeah.
That's all of us. We get started. We're told, hey, you need to do email marketing in your business. Cool. I'm going to go get me a MailChimp account, and like 5 minutes later, I can start sending out emails. The first thing I would say is get a copy of my book. It's free, and read that thing. It's 76 short pages. Everything that's in there is really what all small business owners need to know when it comes to email marketing. If you do these things as you're getting started, you don't have to fix problems later on. You're actually doing things right from the beginning, which means, you know how to set up segmentation in your list. When somebody opts in for a report, you're going to tag them that they're interested in whatever the topic of that report is. You're going to know, hey, I need to monitor the engagement. You're going to know that there are 3 identification records that you need to have set up on your domain so that you are sending emails legally, so that they have a better chance of landing in the inbox. You're going to know how to craft your emails. What should you put in there? What should you not put in there? How many links should you have? How many images should you have? And then you're going to learn about, like the importance of reputation. So all of those things, they all play together. None of them is an isolated thing. It's like, oh, if I just do this one thing, that's all I have to worry about. They all interweave together. And if you have that foundational understanding, which you can get in, less than an hour reading the book, like that's going to set you off for running profitable email marketing campaigns and building relationships with the people that you're emailing. That's another thing that I see, that a lot of people look at, this is my list. No, these are people. These are individuals. And you want to, when you're writing your emails, you want to imagine, who is that one person that I'm writing to? Just as if you were writing a one-to-one email or writing a card to them. And if you craft your emails that way, then now you're going to come across as like more personable, and people are going to want to receive those emails. Don't look at your list as, oh, I've got 500 people. Oh, I've got 5,000 people. No, I have individuals on my list that I want to build close relationships with, so that some of them will want to do business with me.
Oh, yeah, that is so true. I recommend to my clients that they just even have a picture of their ideal customer, their avatar, so that when
Yeah.
they are writing, they are not tempted to say, everybody should do this, but instead say, you should do this, or write to them as though they are an individual person, like you're writing to a coworker or a friend on email. And it becomes a much more powerful email that way as well. And you're absolutely right. Even if you're starting out and you only have 5 people on your list and one of them is your mother, it doesn't matter because that just creates that more personalized way of getting that client to know, like, and trust you. And that really is what's important for that sale.
Absolutely.
Scott, this has been super, super interesting. I just want to recommend that everybody who's listening, download his books, hit the inbox. I'll put the link in the show notes. I learned a lot just by reading it, and it's free, what could be better than that, right?
Absolutely. And the reason why I did that is, I want people to get the knowledge that I didn't have when I started doing email marketing back in 2013. And even the more conversations that I have with small business owners, I've realized they don't know these things that they don't know, but they're so critically important. The landscape of email marketing has totally changed over the past few years. And this is stuff that all of us have to be aware of. It's not rocket science. It's not time-intensive things, but they are important foundational things that can majorly move the needle in our business. And to be able to consume this in an hour and start to implement that, I just want small business owners to have that leg up so that they can, we're all doing email marketing. Let's make it worth our while in doing the email marketing by doing it the right way.
That's so true. Love it. Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate you being here with me today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, Janice. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, take care. So I'm hoping you found my conversation with Scott as interesting as I did. As we talked about in our interview, Scott has a free book called Hit the Inbox. You can find a link to it in my show notes at myweeklymarketing.com/13. Hey, lucky episode 13. You can also find links to Scott's website and his social media accounts there too. Also, if you have marketing questions for me, I like to record a Q&A session every so often. Visit my show notes page and you'll find a link where you can leave a question for me there. Again, it's at myweeklymarketing.com/13. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found this podcast helpful, I would be thrilled if you could leave a review in the podcast app of your choice. I work hard at putting these together, and reviews will help the podcast be found by others as well. Thanks so much. See you next time. Bye for now.